While there are no laws against lesbian relationships, Kenya's Penal Code sections 162 and 165, which prohibit sodomy and other sexual practices between males that the law defines as gross indecency, can result to a sentence of 5 to 14 years in jail for gay men.
That is something that, of course, we think about every single day. You want to have a partner, you want to be able to walk down the aisle like everybody else, but of course we know where Kenya is at. We are still even, just going through the law, which is section 162 and 165, to try and decriminalize it. But of course, when I think about commitment, the world is so big. There are different parts in this world where you can go and get married. So I never look at it as a limitation. It just means that I'll have to book a ticket to go out, get married, then come back and continue living my life.
Fear of homophobia has led many LGBT plus persons living secret lives, which raises the question of whether people prefer to know or whether it is better to keep it a secret.
I'm thinking it's about time the society has this conversation openly, because it's inevitable. But also, I'm of the opinion that there's a generation that is not ready to have this conversation. I don't know if they'll ever be ready to have this conversation, but in my opinion, the society should be ready to have this conversation.
It is something shameful for people to share it with their kids. As Africans, we don't take this as a nice thing. Even if it has come, we don't take it as a nice thing. It is not something every year would like to hear. Something embarrassed.
There has been an increased focus on LGBT plus inclusion as a coalition of 27 global companies has asked Kenya to fully recognize gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgender. The issue still remains if the society is ready to engage this topic openly.
It's good to expose the new generation so that they be aware of the consequences of becoming. It's a nice thing.
I can only imagine someone living their full life and dying without even ever expressing that this is the person that they loved or that this is who they are. So of course the conversations are happening, and it's just constantly telling people that love yourself for who you are, and then of course trying to get more allies, people who are not in the community, to say, legit, we support them, we love them for who they are. And when we do that, we're going to get to a place where there's equilibrium, and we hope that the government of Kenya can finally decriminalize the law.
While acknowledging that digital media venues contain more homophobia than traditional media, Kenya has seen a rise in the number of LGBT plus people who have come out or been outed on social media, which raises the question of whether social media is a friend of the LGBT plus community.
There was this big situation in 2019 where I was outed publicly, and it was all over Twitter. So many people spoke about it. It moved from being this journalist who works at the BBC, and now there was constantly a name in front of everything that I did. It was the gay journalist who works for the BBC. So I think there was conversations around that, and even some of my family members picked it up. And we just had a conversation. I just said, this is who I've always been.
In social media, you get both types of people. There are people for the community and people against the community. And I think that goes for everything else. People have opinion, whether it's about sexuality or not, whether it's about diet or not, whether it's about shapes or not.
In Kenya, same-sex marriage is prohibited by the Constitution, and same-sex couples are not permitted to adopt children. But there are members of the LGBT plus community who have children or who are raising children as partners.
I never see any particular challenge when it comes to raising children. If I ever get to that point that I want to do that and have a family, I think it's just I will make sure that I bring them up with the beliefs that I have, which is, number one, you're a human being first before anything else, even as my child. If you are straight, if you're heterosexual, you're a human being first before all those other things. If you're queer, it's fine. You're a human being first before anything else. And I would want them to step into the world looking at other people just, like that. Like looking at other kids and saying, it doesn't matter if they're white, if they're black, they're human beings first before anything else.
Most Kenyan religious denominations, which consider the orientation to be sinful, do not prohibit LGBT plus people from going to church. However, there are very many various kinds of opposition that these members face, ranging from silently discouraging homosexual behavior to officially prohibiting same-sex practices among its believers, to actively fighting society acceptance of homosexuality.
It is very likely that those people will be shunned from churches. They will be denied membership. They will be denied even participation in the sacraments like taking Holy Communion or even baptism, because from that kind of worldview or perspective, they are engaged in what in the Old Testament is described as an abomination.
Under the Kenyan Constitution Bill of Rights, equality includes the full and equal enjoyment of all rights and fundamental freedoms. This includes the right to employment. Different companies, however, have varied fraternization policies.
Companies have policies and procedures when it comes to hiring, so I have never really come across any of the sexuality. So it shouldn't actually affect something. At the end of the day, if you look at the current economy, it's more about what you bring to the table.
Kenya has a long way to go when it comes to acceptance of members of the LGBT plus community, with only 14% of the population accepting this, but strides have been made by different organizations, including the Bold Network Africa.
I'm so happy with the people who did whatever they did, to vandalize my car, to write all those mean words, to put me out there, because if that never happened, I would have never gotten this drive to start advocacy work for the community, because I keep on saying nobody needs to go through that pain that I've gone through since I was 8 until I was 28, when now I was fully out, Nobody needs to go through 20 years of trying to fit in, of trying to explain yourself when you walk into rooms, of shying away to go to places, to family Christmases, because you're like, when you go there, they're going to constantly ask you, where's your boyfriend, where's your girlfriend? Yeah, that's not your partner, So for me, that, whatever happened, as painful as it was, it gave me power. It fueled me to say, nobody else needs to go through this kind of pain. Nobody needs to be judged the way I was judged. And that's why I started Bold Network Africa.